Yo, 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 and welcome back to Creeps and Crimes
Podcast.
I'm Taylar.
I'm Morgan. Happy Thursday and happy episode 168.
168.
Today is going to be a fun one.
Yeah, today's going to be really fun. Morgan literally said everyone can go fuck themselves. You can probably tell.
Merry Christmas.
From the title.
Maybe not, though, because we're not typing it out.
No, we're not. But maybe they will, because how will we type it out?
Lil Robbie the D.
Little Robbie the D.
And it reminds me of Victoria's.
Yeah.
Like Robbie's little puppet.
That's so funny. I just can't. We'll talk about it when we get to
beginning,
because so hi, my part 2 is finally today. I'm so sorry. Everyone was
a little carried away on the notes.
Yeah, everyone
the research
was commenting back and they were like, I will never be offended by a 3-hour episode, Taylar. Like, you don't worry about it.
Yeah, but it offends your mental health, and that's enough for me.
Yeah, I was actually gonna post it on Friday for you guys, but then I got ill. I felt ill.
What the heck was that about?
I don't know, but I wished it away. I woke up.
You danced it away.
I danced it away, but I also witched it away. I woke up, felt sick, was like, hot tea only this weekend. Don't even put a coffee near me. I went and I got emergency. I did my turmeric, my ginger, my onion juice. I did all the fucking things.
Ugh.
So disgusting. I made homemade chicken pot pie.
You were on another level.
I was on another fucking level this
weekend.
Know
what was going on. That was hilarious.
It was crazy. And then Sunday night, I still feel like shit. So I go and I turn on the shower. I turn up music. And I made myself dance till I was sweating.
Guys, so Saturday night, she texts me and she's like, hey, do you care if we get on a quick phone call tomorrow night just to discuss some things for our holiday schedule? Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah, for sure. Well, I work this weekend. So on the weekends, I work really early in the morning. Yeah. Saturday night, we had, you guys know, Tennessee was hit with a huge, devastating storm, especially tornadoes over in the Nashville area.
Yeah, Clarksville, Nashville.
Any of our listeners are from there. Let us know if there is anything we can do to
help you guys out. Yeah, we've been thinking about y'all a lot recently.
Yeah. And that same storm was coming our way at around 11:30. Yeah. So usually I try to go to bed around 9 o'clock. And that night there was actually Taylar knew this was coming. Noon that day?
No, I knew. I found out about it on Friday. Because at first they thought it was going to be a little bit of snow.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously they knew it was going to turn into storms, but they were thinking maybe it was going to start off with snow, but then that heat was just warming that up, and so tornadoes.
Yeah, and she was already,
being a meteorologist
in our text messages. So Saturday night, I'm trying to go to bed early, and it's just full trauma response in my bedroom.
Yeah.
That night, my dog is pacing. He's coming up. He's digging at the covers, trying to get under the coveys. And I would let him in. And then 10 minutes later, there'd be a big thunder strike or something, thunder crack. And he would get up and when he gets out from under the covers, he walks to the end of the bed. And with him takes all the comforters and the sheets off our body. And it's fucking cold. And then all while Aaron has the TV on full fucking volume, I swear to you. And I didn't say anything because I was like, well, he's the one that was in the tornado. So maybe this is his trauma of his response of, I'm going to just out sound the storm with the TV. So I didn't say anything. I was just letting it slide. But at the same time, I was not going to let slide, but I still did because I felt bad. He had the fucking TV on full volume, but he also had his phone on full volume. And Taylar and I said, Taylar has, what'd you say, you had a sound ordinance?
I have a sound ordinance in this fucking house. The rule is in the bedroom, 15 is fucking max.
I agree with that.
Because it's right in front of our faces.
Right. And it's bedtime. We're
trying to chill. Yeah. I don't need to hear the Star Wars Empire Strikes Back just so fucking loud.
We're watching SEAL Team right now on Amazon Prime. It's a really good show.
I know that the music in that shit is intense.
I also shows that have a lot of warfare in them.
A lot of good scores and intense scores in them. Yeah.
Scores.
Yeah, that's the music that goes in movies and that are conducted scores. You didn't think that I looked at that for a job?
Okay, well, so the producer says it's score. So the SEAL Team has a lot of scores in them. That was hilarious. Okay. So anyway, it's loud as fuck. And shows like that don't need to be over 10.
No. And if anything, the only thing that those shows need is for you to go in and turn up the brightness on the screen. Like that's
I agree.
You can't. I've learned how to
only watch them at
change
night.
my brightness and like display on my computers, on my TVs now. Mm-hmm. So I have them all different ones, and I have them set for different types of times a day.
Did you learn that when you were
when I was learning about my scores?
So how do we get here? We were talking about Sunday, you in the shower. So
yeah.
I didn't get any sleep
because of the sound ordinance. That's right.
Yeah. So I
living room TV. What's your living room TV cap? Sound ordinance.
It depends. If it's a movie, 45.
If we're both watching it, 45.
If not, I like a 35.
If
30.
If this is only a singular person watching the television, 25 is max in this house. But that's also because Logan was insistent on getting a surround sound system sound bar. One goes underneath the couch for the vibrations. Like we fucking need a movie theater.
You know what I want to get you guys for Christmas?
Whatever it is, don't. I don't even want to know what it is, don't.
I think I have to. No, I'm not going to tell you.
No, you can't. Don't. Literally don't.
He'd love it.
Let's go fucking
Aaron told me he wants for Christmas. He's like, a really cool game set up in this bedroom would be really cool.
Oh, that's all you want for Christmas?
I'm like, he's like, it would be a really cool surprise. I'm like, when am I supposed to surprise you with that? You live in there.
Send Taylar in like the Extreme Makeover Home Edition. She sends you out of town.
Move that
bus. I got all the kids outside working and shit.
That would be hilarious. Okay, so Taylar wants to have a meeting Sunday night. I get no sleep on Saturday because of the sound ordinance and the storms. I work really early, so I text her and I say, hey, is it okay? Definitely down for a call. Is it okay if we just do it later Sunday night?
Yeah.
Because I just need to take a fat nap when I get home from work. She's like, totally same. I didn't sleep at all because I was also tracking radar all night. I take my nap. I cook dinner and I come and I'm sitting in. Anytime Taylar FaceTimes me, she's always at her computer. I'm always on the couch like this.
Laying down. Yep.
My blanket's up to my neck so that you guys can't see. So that she can't see what you guys are all seeing right now. And so I'm like stationed at my computer and I'm like, okay. No answer. And I'm like, all right, maybe she's on the phone with Arletta. Maybe she's talking to
But it did ring
Nikki.
all the way through because I didn't even hear it.
It did ring all the way through.
I didn't even hear it.
Yeah, no, there was no end call. And usually, so I was like, I don't know, maybe she's doing something.
And that's unlike me.
I waited about 15, 20 minutes and I texted, hello. No answer. So then I was like, okay, well, I'm not looking at this computer screen anymore. So I'm going to just
I'm not going to fake work anymore.
I'm just going to jump back into the living room, back under the coveys. Because I went to Costco and I got the big plush king size $16.99 blankets. I definitely recommend. And I am sitting there and all of a sudden I start getting Snapchat after Snapchat after Snapchat after Snapchat from, it says Taylar Hooker, Taylar Hooker, Taylar Hooker, Taylar Hooker. I'm like, what's going on? I open, she's how I'm going to pick up my daughter. How I'm going to chaperone my kids' school dances.
Yep. Dancing in front of the washing and dryer machine.
Shake, 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 shake it.
Going crazy.
But I was like on speed.
And I was very much sweaty. You could tell I was sweating my ass off.
And then the next thing I know is that she's in the shower. So I'm like, okay, she's Snapchatting me back. She hasn't even texted me. So clearly she's been occupied with dancing.
Clearly she's been the fuck away for a bit.
And so I snap her back. I'm like, also in the shower, same wavelength, LOL.
Aww.
And seeing if she'd pick up on like, oh, I need to text Morgan back. Nothing. Another dancing one in the shower. And so I text her again. I'm like, okay, let's move this to tomorrow at 3. And she was like, oh my God, I didn't see any of these. And I was like, it's okay, you're dancing. And I haven't seen Taylar dance in so long. And I know that's her greatest expression of happiness. Yeah. And so I was like, I'm not gonna get in the middle of this. Let's move this meeting. This is her and her dancing time, and that shit is important.
It's important. Thank you for taking in the importance of my dancing.
I will say, this is probably the sweetest thing I'm ever going to say to you. That it did make me happy watching you dance.
That's really sweet. You made me really smile when you were like, no, we're not going to do this tonight. You go do your thing.
Look at her on the up.
Look at her. She's on the mend. And then Morgan said, let me throw a fucking wrench into this. And let me cover the most unlucky, dangerous fucking case I could ever fucking possibly cover. Taylar healed herself. Am I okay? Taylar has healed herself mentally, physically, emotionally. RTD right now. Throw it together.
RTD.
And she just like threw it in just to passing this morning. Like in it just.
I was like, hey, I'm going to need a little longer on my notes. I'm covering da-da-da-da. And my alarms went off that my lasagna was ready. So I went and I grabbed a plate and I sat on my couch and I was ready to eat my lasagna. And all of a sudden I start hearing things in my office room. And I'm like, that's weird. And even Ollie was like up, head turning. So then I got really creeped out and I told her, I was like, I need to refresh my memory and some more research in daytime.
In the morning. in the light.
Not at the dark. So not at
the dark time.
So I paused my notes. That's why I had to tell her. So I just told her like so nonchalant.
No, nonchalant as fuck. Like I wasn't gonna be like acted like she was like, so I'm covering Blackbeard and da-da-da-da. No big deal. No. The case that she throws in this fucking
and
thing,
also the mid-haunting during research.
During research.
Gonna need some more time.
And I'm like, were we not on the same wavelength? I thought we were good.
I thought
we were decorating our fucking
shower.
journals, you know? I thought that's what we were doing. I thought we were just doodling in our journals or what? What was that about? Did we change our mind?
Oh my God, that is so funny. All right.
We gotta get into it.
You guys ready?
Yeah.
If you're driving, throw that shit on cruise control.
If you got a glass, pour that shit up.
And let's get creepy.
Hey guys, we forgot something so important, and it has to do with LIVE.
Just living, man.
Just living, maybe like an LIVESHOW virtual. So like this Sunday.
Listen to the end of this episode.
Yeah, Sunday, December 17th. Go listen to the end of this episode. But when you get there, don't skip over it because you think that we're done. Because we're not. We're never done. See you then. Love you. Bye. Okay, so I'm going first today.
Fine.
For you guys to get your part 2. It's picking up literally the exact spot where I cut off. And where we cut off, I was explaining to you guys how Toni's case and Lynn's case met each other. In terms of when investigators kind of put 2 and 2, like this has happened before, something's not right, we need to look further into this. And I took you guys through all parts of Lynn's investigation, her death, and then Toni's death, leading up to the point that they learned the sketchiness around Lynn's death. So what we're talking about now, where we're picking up today, is me taking you back into how these discoveries and what investigators learned about Harold and Lynn's relationship, then hearing from Toni's family like, oh, something's not sitting well with them, and then turned around and used that to make sure that they were investigating Toni's case properly, so on and so forth. I'm gonna let you guys go and listen to that. Morgan and I will jump in on the end. We're gonna discuss it just a tad bit and close it out before we move on to Morgan's horrific story. So going back to Toni's case and her investigation, federal officials interviewed Harold's best friend, Daniel, who I mentioned prior, the map dude that lived with them, because they wanted a little bit more detail about the inside of Harold and Toni's marriage and life together. So his interview consisted of a lot of detailed questions about both Harold, his career, and Toni's life and everything. But more specifically, they wanted to know what the fuck Harold did for a job. So they asked him, like, hey, what does your buddy Harold do for money? He goes on fundraising for schools and da-da-da-da. Basically was the entire reason. His whole business was Denver only, so that's the only reason that Toni had to move all the way from Mississippi to Colorado, right? Mm-hmm. Wrong. What investigators found out and told Daniel said, we're just going to stop you right there because that's all a fucking lie. Harold Henthorn has not worked a job in 20 years.
No shit.
Just months before Lynn passed.
Damn.
He had no income.
He's been living off the life
insurance policies. He had no income at all. And allegedly told them that Toni knew he hasn't been working because investigators were like, bro, you don't have a job. This fake business that you have, that's not real.
Yeah, how does she not know that?
Does she know that? And he was like, yeah, she knows it. She knows I wasn't working. But her friends and family are like, that's not fucking true. She wouldn't have known either way because he controlled everything in their lives. Their finances, their phones, their work schedules. He controlled everything. Family and friends said in the beginning it was a lot more tame, not anything like they did things separate and whatever. Mm-hmm. But as years went on, they could never call Toni's phone. They never talked to Toni one-on-one in the last 10 years because Anytime they called the house phone, it was redirected to Harold's phone. Anytime they called Toni, she wouldn't answer unless Harold was there to answer it for her. And then the phone call would be put on speaker for anyone that wanted to speak to Toni and or Haley, their daughter.
Oh, wow. I forgot about Haley in this entire situation.
I know. Next, coming home to Mississippi. At first, they went every single holiday, birthday, they would fly home. And just like the phone calls and the text messages, slowly he began pulling back, refusing to go to Mississippi, saying, if you guys want to see us, you have to come here. And the family's like, yeah, but there are 17 of us here.
Right.
3 of you.
Yeah.
You can come out here. But nope, he wouldn't. He refused to go. And lastly, the office environment. If Toni needed to book an appointment for someone or anything like that, she would have to approve it with Harold before the receptionist could put it down. And if the receptionist ever had to change anything on Toni's schedule, she did not call Toni, she called Harold. He was at every single office meeting that they had. He stayed in the office all the time.
No one thought that was weird.
All the girls in the office, like all the receptionists were like, we thought it was weird, but she was happy.
Yeah. And
we just thought like maybe their relationship was super Christian and that's the way that they wanted it to be.
Damn.
But like the main receptionist, she was interviewed on there and she was like, I'm gonna be real, always creepy vibes from him. Always creepy vibes. Basically, federal authorities learned that Harold's business model for this nonprofit bullshit was because of his source for all of the money over the years had been his wife's insurance policies. So he had to make it into a nonprofit. So it was
tax-free.
Easier to move around. He got $645,000 from the death of Lynn, and he would be getting $4.7 million for the death of Toni. But there was also another policy, a third policy that Harold was the only beneficiary on, that only Harold knew about until investigators did, obviously. According to the findings from the FBI, along with the research conducted by 48 Hours team and CBS 4 reporter Brian Moss, investigators uncovered a bombshell. Harold had taken out a secret life insurance policy on Lynn's brother's wife that he was both him and Lynn were very close with, and her name is Grace. They were the ones that have like the 5 daughters. The policy was for $400,000, him being the only beneficiary, meaning Grace was probably going to be one of his victims someday.
Yeah.
When police looked into Toni's death, they discovered more troubling details. There were a number of inconsistencies with what Harold told everyone about the hike, from friends, family, work people, church family, investigators. It changed every time. The area and what happened actually that day. Harold told a ranger that he and Toni initially planned to go hike the Bear Lake Trail, but the trail is a half mile of paved walking with no elevation gain, so they didn't want to do that. It would have been a good choice for Toni because of her 3 knee surgeries. However, they chose not to because she wanted to move them, I guess, but her injuries were so bad from her surgeries that she could no longer even ski. Yet Harold told the ranger that he decided to do Deer Mountain Trail instead, explaining that the reason for doing so was to avoid the crowds. The Deer Mountain Trail is a 3-mile hike climbing 1,200 feet from its trailhead to its 10,200 foot summit. Harold told the ranger that he was not familiar with the area and that he had only been there one time before. But police discovered via his phone records and from talking to his friends that, remember, he was such a good husband. He had gone several times to visit this specific trail to pick out the perfect one in a 6-week period before the day of her death.
Well, you had nothing else fucking to do every day.
And they confirmed this with phone records. Exactly. They confirmed this with all of his cell tower pings. Furthermore, he knew the area. The steep cliff where Toni would have fallen. He had mentioned seeing a white sheet on the cliff, but the sheet had been removed by the park services a week prior to Toni's fall. That's how regularly he was up there.
Wow.
Police found that map of the park with the X marking the spot of the exact location. He knew this area. He was lying. Through this investigation, detectives uncovered his secrets and these terrifying truths about Harold. He was a scam artist. He was money hungry, sociopathic, and honestly a serial killer from the looks of it, who they knew would 100%, he had already set it up to strike again.
Yep.
And in order to protect other amazing women like Toni and Lynn from him, they they were going to have to get him behind bars. There was ample evidence that suggested both Lynn and Toni's death were not accidental. They were meticulous, malicious, and for the sole purpose of monetary gain. However, most of what they had was complete circumstantial evidence.
Yeah.
As there is very little physical evidence to prove that their deaths were actually homicides. There were no witnesses, there were no confessions, nothing. They needed something concrete. Maybe there was something that they had missed on Toni's body that would help them. They knew Harold was abusive in many ways, specifically manipulation, clearly. And I hate to even say what I'm about to say because it's just so sad that they were almost hoping for this to help in the investigation to get her justice, but at the same time, like praying that they were wrong because they didn't want this to be a thing. But maybe he was also physically abusive, which would prove that he would want his wife dead or be capable of killing his wives. And if that were the case, maybe there were bruises that investigators believed were from the fall initially, but were actually not. And the only way that they would be able to prove this is if they re-examined Toni's body. But there was an issue, and in hindsight, 100 more red flags when it came to her remains. So let's go back to September 2012, 5 days after Toni's death. Harold had organized and hosted a funeral for his beloved wife of 12 years, completing it with a sweet memorial video filled with Toni's favorite photos, videos, and songs, voicemails that he lovingly sent to all of their friends and family. Just 48 hours, his second wife's unexpected traumatic death. Hundreds of people attended Toni's funeral that took place 5 days later. I don't know if I already said that or not. Harold brought out amazing singers, pianists, and pastors to conduct a beautiful celebration of life for Toni in her favorite church. But there was an elephant in the room that everyone saw as one of the earliest red flags. Toni had been cremated. Now, I already told you that she was a devout Christian, strict religious Christian. Cremation is a major no-go for devout Christians. It's against their beliefs. Toni's family was pissed and they were shocked when they learned that Harold made the executive decision to go against Toni's wishes and everyone in their life's wishes to have her cremated. Yvonne and Bob, her parents, begged Harold to not cremate her, number one. But number two, they also begged for him to let them have the honor of laying their daughter to rest in her hometown where all of her family's plots were.
Yeah.
And where all of her family would be. But he refused. He kept claiming that it was for their daughter. It was for Haley. She needed to have a place that she could go to, visit with her mother.
And how do you argue that 5 days after the death?
Right.
You know what I mean?
I get that too, because it's like, okay, we do want Haley to be able to be where her mother is. But this is the kicker. Toni was never buried in a place that Haley could go access or would even want to access, because instead Harold went up and spread her ashes on the north summit of Deer Mountain in Rocky Mountain National Park, the place where she died, instead of putting it in a place that she loved or in the ground where their daughter could go visit. Why would you want your daughter to go back to the location where her mother accidentally fell over and died?
What the fuck?
I shouldn't even say accidentally. I'm going to say allegedly on purpose, because this is just outrageous.
Is he not behind bars? I don't even want to know.
So investigators had no way of re-examining Toni's body, and they had really done every single thing that they could do to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that Harold killed Toni. Though it was a loose case on paper, investigators knew that this would be a case that was worth the risk in order to protect others and just be sure that everyone in the fucking world knew to stay the hell away from Harold Henthorn. After 2 years of investigating, examining, and re-examining findings, doing countless interviews and digging into the truth about Harold Henthorn, finally, in November of 2014, he was arrested and charged by federal authorities with the first-degree murder of his wife, Dr. Toni Jill Bertolet, hoping that by getting Toni justice, the justice that she so very clearly deserves, that Lynn would also be able to get her justice. Therefore, the prosecution requested that the details of Lynn's case be accepted into the trial to be presented to the jury. And surprisingly, which I feel like this never happens, thank God, the court approved it.
Probably because it's the FBI, right?
Probably. It was a government court, federal court.
Yeah.
Meaning that the public will finally be able to hear the truth about the tragic death of Lynn. No one knew the truth. And this part makes me so emotional because I'm so torn up about this case. It just makes me so emotional because it's kind of like a girl code moment of sorts, like in the spiritual realm, because just it shows you just how powerful women are when they stand together and are able to lift each other up. Because right after his arrest, just before her term ended as coroner for Douglas County in December of 2014, Douglas County coroner and former Colorado State Trooper Laura Thomas, who I mentioned earlier, officially changed Lynn's manner of death from accidental to undetermined.
Oh, wow.
Which then reopened the case with the Douglas County Sheriff's Office, while at the same time adding that pressure because of federal authorities needing to use the case in this court trial. Lynn's siblings told 48 Hours that they knew that this was the right thing to do and exactly what Lynn would have wanted. Her case, even just being presented to the court and to the public, gave Toni a better chance at receiving justice. And even though they knew getting Harold charged with Lynn's murder was going to be a long shot, probably never happened because of the time that has passed, with very little to no evidence that survived, they just wanted to help Toni and her family while also telling Lynn's story, because that's exactly what Lynn would have done. How sweet is that?
Yeah.
You know, it's just so powerful. The trial began in September of 2015, 3 years after Toni's murder. This shit was going to be a doozy. And that is literally a quote from the federal judge in the court docs. He says, this one's going to be a doozy because of just how up in the air this was, due to the lack of evidence, concrete evidence at least. But really, all the prosecution had to do was to prove to the jury that Harold was a compulsive liar and that he had been his entire life and he would be capable and have motive to murder his wives. And then they would be able to get the jury to understand exactly why they 100% believe that he is guilty. So their main thing was like, we just have to prove that he's a liar and then we'll go from there. On the flip side of this though, that means that all Harold's defense team had to do was create reasonable doubt around every single word that the prosecution says. Basically, this was going to be a he said, she said type of professional debate. And everyone on both sides knew this. So it was all about strategy. Well, what does Harold's defense team do? They throw a curve ball. First thing. No shit. His attorney gets up and says, look, my client, Harold, he's weird, quirky dude, and yeah, he's told lies, a lot of really big lies, but haven't we all? Just because you tell a lie, even if it's a big lie, that doesn't make you a murderer. But yeah, he's a liar and he's not that good and he's weird, but he's not capable of murder. Swear to God, it was literally them just being like, yeah, this dude's fucking creep, but murder, yeah, not his vibe. Like, what?
Yeah, what? But I bet it worked.
Luckily, though, the prosecution kind of knew that this was coming because they were like, they can't hide from the fact that we have receipts, you know, that he's a fucking compulsive liar. So they're going to have to accept it. So they kind of were prepared for this. So simply, they just pulled out the receipts. They said, throw that evidence up on the screen, motherfuckers. And you have to remember, this is a federal case, meaning the FBI was in his shit. They knew every single thing about Harold Henthorn. They had got a billion warrants. They had the metadata of everything. I mean, it's just cake to them. This is their fucking day job. They presented the court with hundreds of photos, videos of their investigation, of the crime scenes, of text messages, of calls, of geo-mapping, cell phone tower pings from Harold's cell phone, from Toni's cell phone, testimonies from friends and family, and so on and so forth. All in all, they could prove that this was not just a good husband planning the perfect 12-year anniversary hike and picnic date on a cliff for his wife, but instead a murder plan that he perfected. Yes, Harold went to find the perfect spot, but it wasn't for what he told everyone.
Make sure it was isolated. No one was around.
Yeah.
I mean, that national park, fuck, dude. It's regardless of what trail you're in, you're always passing people.
The whole time. So you had to pick one that wasn't crowded, which he admitted to.
There's
to the
thousands
ranger.
of trails there, but like there's always somebody there.
Exact. Always. And he had perfected it. That's why he had gone so many times. He took various trails, that was true, multiple times when he finally found the ones that he liked, all the while he was, at work during the day. And from the cell phone tower pings the FBI had and pulled from him, they could tell that he went to the exact location that Toni accidentally, quote unquote, fell from the cliff. Not once, not 5 times, not 7 times, but 9 different fucking times. He sat on the exact place that his wife fell to her death, quote unquote, accidentally 9 fucking times. Just chilled there, sending text messages, geo-mapping himself out. Insane. And then they wanted to solidify Harold's timeline of that day. The fall, the 911 call, getting to her, contacting the family, the helicopter, EMTs arriving, so on and so forth. So investigators sent out various different teams to go recreate Harold and Toni's day on September 29th, 2012. Harold told investigators originally that Toni fell at around 5:15 p.m. and it took him about 45 minutes to call for help because it took him 15 minutes to get down to where he could see her and then another 30 to go get to her.
Thing you do.
Right. On that 911 call that was made at 5:54 p.m., Harold told the operator that he had been doing mouth-to-mouth CPR. And then the operator continued to walk him through the process for several minutes while they waited on rescue teams. The operator, a woman named Julie, even felt at the time of the call that something was off. And this is what she said to investigators, quote, "In my experience, when I'm doing CPR with someone guiding them through it, even if they are experienced people, nurses, and other people on the scene, they're extremely out of breath. I found it unusual that he wasn't letting me know when he was completed with an instruction that I had given him. A lot of, every other call I've been with, this person wants to know immediately, what are they doing next? Okay, I did my 30. What do I do next? What do I do next? This was very unusual, and I didn't feel like he was actually doing the CPR I was walking him through. Most people, because of the exertion of doing CPR, the compressions, and also giving breaths, are very exhausted. I need to know when you're completed with it so we can go ahead and go on to the next instruction. And he was not letting me know after he completed every instruction I had given him. So I was prompting him to let me know. Also, we did have an open line. On all of the other CPR calls that day I had done and that I had done throughout my entire career, I can hear them as they are doing the compressions on the patient because it's a lot of breathing and it's heavy breathing and it's exhausting and it's hard to even get out and talk back. They have a really hard time with me because they are so out of breath from the exertion," end quote.
You're just sitting there.
And police also were troubled by Harold's 911 call because he told the operator that he could not speak long as she was trying to assist him doing CPR because his phone battery was low and he needed to get off to keep this battery and only call me back when help gets here. Meanwhile, though, he went on to make 22 more calls. I couldn't find out to who or for what or where.
My phone couldn't do that. Not if I was on low.
No. And then he sent or received 98 text messages from 5:54 p.m. until the paramedics arrived.
Not with a low battery, he didn't.
No, the fuck he didn't. One text message was sent from Harold to a friend asking him if he could come pick him up in Estes Park. He told the friend the exact route that he would need to take to get to him, meaning Harold had figured out a way that he could drive into this location. Well, when looking at the photos taken of Toni's body at the scene, the hospital, and during her autopsy, something stood out to investigators. But the women on the jury were being interviewed, and they were like, as a woman, that was the first thing that jumped out at me. Toni was a true Southern belle, and there are two things that every Southern woman does not leave the house without. It's either mascara and lipstick, or lipstick and blush. But either way, lipstick is a must when you leave the home.
Period.
Well, Toni's lipstick was perfectly painted on her lips. Not a smudge, not a smear, not a single fade in her staple red peachy lip color that she has on in every single photo that I've ever been able to find of her. Unless it was the strongest lipstick and best lipstick on the fucking market at that time, and it was 2012, so there's no shot. It didn't even exist yet. There is no way in hell that Harold performed mouth to mouth on his dying wife without smudging it, without taking it off, without wiping it off. Also, it was red. He did not have a single bit of red lipstick on his face.
Especially in 2012. There was no good lip stain.
No.
This was like,
It was going to get everywhere.
Yeah.
It ran if you didn't have like the sealant on the top. From just you talking. It was faded halfway if you weren't careful. It was red. It wasn't on his face at all. It would have stained him. Red lipstick stains my face for 4 days after I wear it. It didn't even smear on her. It would have 100% at least just transferred to his skin and his mouth, if anything.
Yep.
But he is dumb as fuck because he's just a dumb fucking guy who thought that he had planned this perfect murder, yet he forgot the most important piece of information was that you actually tried to save your wife and you need to prove it.
Right.
If anything, he could have just rubbed the lipstick all over him to make it look, but no, he wouldn't think of that because only women would think of that shit. And I guess any man that's listening to this now, fuck. But true, like it's a damning detail. Now, there's also another incident that happened about a year prior to Toni's death, like almost exactly, that really stood out to investigators and to her family. And for this part, I'm going to read you the quote from the section. It starts on page 18 of the court documents titled The United States versus Harold Henthorn. And it says, quote, "A little over a year before Toni's death, Harold dropped a 20-foot wooden beam on her. Emergency personnel responded to the Henthorns' cabin. This was like their cabin in their mountain cabin in Great Lake, Colorado. Toni and Harold were the only witnesses to the beam falling. Toni Henthorn told medical personnel on the scene that her husband was, quote, chucking plywood over the deck, end quote, and she could not get out of the way of that piece that hit her. But since the beam hit Toni in the back of her neck, she was relying on her husband's account of whether the beam was dropped, thrown, or just simply fell. And he had, once again, many different stories. Henthorn told medical personnel that he did not know Toni was there and he had just blindly tossed the wood off the deck. The Henthorns told others that the board simply just fell from the deck. Henthorn then later told family members and friends that he had been working on the ladder and he dropped it from the top of the ladder and it fell on Toni. Or the beam slipped from his hands when he was standing on the ladder, and he told another witness that Toni was holding the ladder for him when the board fell. Henthorn then told one friend in a joking manner, quote, "I was trying to kill my wife," end quote, which this friend found completely distasteful and odd for someone to joke about who had lost his first wife in an accidental tragedy because of him just being careless.
Right.
The on-the-scene personnel added that the incident as a whole was weird because it was an odd time of night to work on the cabin as a whole, and it was, quote, a lucky shot, a hell of a shot, end quote, for the board to hit Toni exactly where it did. As with Lynn's death, Toni had come outside to allegedly hold a flashlight for him as he worked. So all in all, this beam incident directly proves that he had premeditation, and it shows that he potentially was trying to kill Toni even then, and that he continued with efforts to try and kill Toni, and that there could be countless other attempts that they don't even know about.
You just can't be that much of an unlucky guy for now 3 attempts on the woman you love's lives,
and it's at your hands only, and your hands, and
you're the only one there.
You're the only one there every single time.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's wild. Another one of the most personal and powerful testimonies came from Toni's oldest brother, Barry, the cardiologist. Because of the text messages that he was receiving from Harold, his brother-in-law, that day as he was being updated constantly from the time that Toni fell until her death. Harold was giving details about Toni's vitals to Barry as he was waiting on rescue teams, saying at one moment that her heart rate was incredibly high, then the next second low, then critical, then stable, on and on and on. At the time reading this, when he was receiving these, Barry was just stunned because he's a literal cardiologist, and he's like, this just isn't making any sense medically, but he kind of wrote it off to Harold not being in medical at all, so maybe he's just misreading the situation. But lastly, the map of the X and something else that was missing from the scene, for which the prosecution called Harold's BFF, Daniel, that I talked about prior, to the stand to testify against Harold. And Daniel said that there was no way and no reason as to why Harold would ever want to give him a map for any reason, stating on record that he 100% believes that his best friend, quote, put that X on the map to mark the location where he would be pushing Toni over the cliff. As for that stolen item, after Toni fell and passed away, it is custom for medical personnel to collect all of her clothes and jewelry, securing them into evidence bags, hand them over to investigators, have them analyzed, and then in turn, they will be released to the family members. And that's exactly what happened. But investigators noticed something about Toni's engagement ring. The diamond was missing. Thinking that it just like popped out because of the fall. Okay, maybe it was just laying around there, but they look all over, they can't find it. And then they look at her hands, like re-examine the autopsy findings and photos. They re-examined her hands and her injuries to her left hand specifically, and they discovered that her left hand was far less severe with injuries. In fact, it was mild compared to everything else. And from the tests and analysis performed by investigators, along with the fact that they intensely searched the area for several weeks trying to find where this diamond had fallen out during Toni's fall with top-notch technology to find small diamonds. They couldn't find the diamond, and it would have had to have been deliberately removed in order to fall out of her ring during this fall. So it was removed after she landed.
What the fuck? You're like, let me get my last penny.
Right.
That's $8,000. I'm gonna take that real quick.
So then, as they're like doing all these reenactments to try and recreate the crime scene, you know, they're out there a lot. And 8 months had gone by since Toni's death, with investigative teams going back out to that location many times for photos and drone footage and tests and whatever, looking for more evidence. And 8 months later, guess what they find? That diamond. It's in perfect condition, not a scratch on it, sitting right out in the open in just like an undisturbed piece of earth. And it's crazy because it happened to just show up right after the FBI was grilling
him about the diamond.
Harold about the location of this diamond, and it just magically appears. And I'm going to show you literally what it looked like in the grass. Yeah. No.
After 8 months.
After 8 months,
it would
it's
have
just
rained a little
fucking
bit.
sitting on top.
Probably snowed a little bit.
It's on a mountainside. It would have rolled down.
Yeah.
Something. Someone would have walked by that and picked it up. It just magically appeared. But the biggest cherry on top was Lynn's case. Interestingly enough, for a man who was so obviously innocent, according to him and his entire defense team, not once did he take the stand. Not once.
Wow.
His team did not call a single person to the stand throughout the entire trial. And so eventually the trial was over. They didn't do jack shit. They just sat there and were like, nope, yep, that's it. He never spoke once. He never addressed the court. For someone who lost his wife in an accident and was trying to prove his innocence, never once fucking took the stand. The jury goes to deliberations after hearing all of the evidence and all of the details in Lynn's death. Together, Lynn and Toni's families spent the entire day together, waiting anxiously for the final result. By the way, they were so cute. They were like filming them together, all just hanging out, going to eat, like being so loving to each other and supportive, because they're the only two people that know what they're going through.
Right.
After 10 hours of deliberating, they ruled that Harold Arthur Henthorn was guilty of the first-degree murder of Dr. Toni Jill Bertolet. And the jury then lined up to comfort and love on both Lynn and Toni's families outside the courthouse, with Yvonne, her mom, personally going up and hugging and thanking each of the jurors for helping her baby girl.
Aww.
Harold was then sentenced to life in prison. Unfortunately, though, Lynn has not received the official justice that she deserves. But she was the entire reason that Toni got hers. So in a way, she did get her justice. But hopefully, officially, one day she will. But no matter what, though, Lynn's family continues to honor her kind and loving spirit by helping others, along with Toni's family. And that's the case.
What a fuck.
Of the Black Widower.
Didn't think that was going to end that way.
No.
I thought they were going to not guilty him.
I thought, because me researching this case was the first time I heard this case. So the whole time was like, I kept having to rewrite and write my notes because I wrote it as if it was never solved. Because from what I could see just on the front of it, no way.
I just like, how stupid can you be to text a fucking cardiologist?
He's a narcissist. He's a fucking narcissist. He's a psychopath, clearly.
Yeah.
You know, like this.
To retrace over and over again, map it out, mark an X on the map.
And you know what stood out to me, like the most, is that Lynn was trapped and died underneath their Jeep. Harold still drove a Jeep. If my partner was killed because of my car, I would never, ever, ever get that car again.
I'm really also confused about that story, though, because Jeeps are high.
I think it was like it's not a 4Runner, but what's the one that looks like that?
Like
Here, I'll show you the
Cherokee.
pictures. Yeah. No, not a Cherokee.
Grand something.
Maybe it is a Grand Cherokee. Yeah, a Grand Cherokee. Yeah,
But,
you're right.
Still, like...
Hold on, I'm going to show you a picture. Lynn and... So you can see she's not in it. It's just the crime scene photos.
Like, I feel like for that situation, all I'm seeing play out in my head is, I just dropped that lug nut. Can you get down there and get that for me? Okay.
And what type of Jeep is that?
That's a Grand Cherokee.
It's an old one.
Old one, yeah, you're right. I'm thinking of the newer ones where they are a lot higher. SUVs are up higher.
They're
so
like
that
lifted.
If it were to fall down, like it's not going to hit you.
So she was on the front. right there.
I feel like he was like, can you get that for me real quick? I just dropped that.
Yeah, because
Drops it.
what person
Fuck.
would, first off, toss, knowing that your car is jacked on an uneven surface, go throw your shit in the back. You don't do that until last, though, Morgan. When you take off a flat tire, you put it to the fucking side, and you're already down there. Might as well put this shit back on, get it all done while it's up here. You're not going to just sit there and be like, let me go put this away. It's like people that when they're cooking, they clean at the same time. I'm not good at that.
I do that.
I can like pick up once I'm done, but like it's a fucking wreck halfway through, and then I move it away before it's all done. But like, you're not going to go clean up the area while you're outside, you're freezing, it's dark, you can't see anything.
Get the tire on
It's
first.
dangerous. You're moving shit around, and if that flat tire ends up getting lost back there, who gives a shit? We'll come back and get it. You know, it's dark.
Right.
So,
Wow.
that's the case.
It's fucked up.
It's fucked up.
Wait, so do you have an update on Haley? Like who?
No, I have no idea.
I'm assuming maybe Tony's parents.
I would assume.
Or family, because if he's in jail.
I would assume Tony's
How old was she whenever
siblings?
this?
7.
7.
So in
Maybe like an aunt or
2015, she
uncle.
would have been 8, 9, 10.
One of her uncles, maybe.
I want to say
hope.
that probably she went to go live with her family, not his family. There's not much on his life at all. I do know that he was like born and raised and met Lynn in their hometown, which was like somewhere in Virginia, like DC area.
Okay.
Old Town, Alexandria, all that. And that's where they met. And then together they moved out to Colorado, and she died there.
Damn.
And I also couldn't confirm that they didn't have any children together. I did see a photo of them holding a child, but it could be one of the nieces because they had a ton, like I said. So it could be one. But like, there are thousands of videos and pictures and home videos of just like Harold, and honest to God, looking at him, Morgan, you'd be like, oh my God, he's just a great dude. Like,
Yeah.
he like reminds me of like, I don't want to say this and it come off wrong, but like Logan, like just easy, always happy, loving, kind.
We'll give love to anyone.
Give love to anyone.
Charmer.
Yeah, wants to go and like hold the kids and play with them, and you know, takes time to do things, cleans up, moves things around, thanks people for stuff, and talks to the camera, and he's like, we're coming back, you know, can't wait to see you guys next year, love you all so much, like on Christmas in Mississippi one of the years.
Yeah. I wonder if it's almost like a light switch.
A compulsive thing for him.
Yeah. Like she's under the car, drop this, or she's right by that cliff, I'm gonna push her. But like it isn't though, because it's calculated.
It's premeditated. Yeah. So I think more so maybe the first one, but no, because why? But then at the same time, how would he know that tire was going to go flat? But would Lynn even be able to tell if the tire was flat? You know, like if Logan told me that the tire's flat and I didn't think that looked like flat, I don't give a shit. I'm freezing. It's dark. Take it off. Put the spare on. Let's go home.
Yeah.
You know? And also her, Grace, her sister-in-law, and all of her siblings got on there. Talking about Lynn, I'm sorry. Got on there, and they were like, when they told us that it was because she crawled under the Jeep while it was lifted on a jack, the first thing we said is no way she would ever do that. She was very hyper aware of her safety.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
that was crazy.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
It just really, it truly makes you think about the saying, like, you truly never know anyone.
I know. That's the scariest thought.
Yeah, that's the scariest thing with it. And like, everyone knew what happened to Lynn, and it just, no one
batted an eye.
No one batted an eye, because he was so, his personality made up for all these like horrific things that have happened in his life. And you're like, wow, you're so strong that you've overcome this. Like, how are you doing? And and like exactly what both Lynn and Tony's families were saying, but specifically Grace, the aunt that the sister-in-law that he had taken out, Lynn's sister-in-law that he had taken out that $400 policy on, that had all those little girls, when she was like being asked about it, or like to recount like what happened after Lynn passed away and all of that, she physically like was clenching her fist, like pushing down, and she was like, We immediately jumped on planes from Virginia and just went out there to go help and comfort him. That's the first thing we did. It was
And she was next.
And she was next. And little did she fucking know, he's sitting there with a $400 life insurance policy on her. And they like kept in touch and like supported him and helped. It's just fucked up. I just can't. It's awful. I'm sorry that you guys had to have this for 2 weeks in a row. It's horrific.
Sorry that I'm about to wreck your day.
Yeah, but Morgan, I'm excited for yours.
Dun, dun, let me pull it up.
I don't know that I'm all that excited, if I'm going to be honest.
I don't think you are.
I'm pretty stressed out about it.
All right, so this is a little disclaimer. If you didn't like P the D, or you were uncomfortable with P the D, or you were like, oh my God, I wish I never listened to that episode, then just shut us off.
Right now. Don't even continue.
Because you're not going to like Lil Robbie.
No.
All right. And that is what we're going to call him. I'm not even going to say his name. Maybe we'll type it out in the description.
Maybe.
But it's either going to be RTD, Rob the D, or Lil Robbie.
Lil Robbie.
All right.
All right.
So, yes.
And also, before we jump into this, I'm just going to put the intention out there of protecting our space. Any person that's listening to this is space.
We're just telling your story, Robbie.
Not trying to cause any drama.
We don't insult.
No.
If anything, I hype you up a little.
Yeah, honest to God. I mean,
I think you're pretty cool.
You're cool as shit, bro. So everything here is good on this end.
We're all good
fine.
over here.
Everything's good.
We'll come hang out with you one day.
No, not about all that.
All right. So this is the story of R the D. In the early 1900s, there was a young boy named Eugene Robert Otto. Everyone called him Gene, and this young boy, Gene, was given this handmade doll. This doll would be considered one of the most haunted items to this day. Gene was born on October 25th, 1900 in Key West, Monroe County, Florida. His parents, Mr. and Mrs. Otto, Thomas and Minnie Otto, were very wealthy. They were a very prominent family, and they were also like huge travelers.
Okay.
So they had a lot of staff in the house, servants and maids, and they cared mostly for Gene. He wasn't really around his parents too much because they were always pit-popping away and going to parties and lavish dinners, country clubs, and back and forth to Germany, which is where they were from, because they immigrated here. Well, Thomas's dad, so Gene's grandfather, came over. Okay. The Otto family lived at what is now 534 Eaton Street. It is also now called the Artist House.
Ooh.
How Gene acquired Lil Robbie is actually undetermined. Some say that this doll was a gift by his grandfather after he had returned from Germany, while others say that it was made for him by one of the servants or the maids of the family. And a lot of people speculate that most of the staff in the house was from Jamaica. They were Jamaican.
Yeah, Caribbean.
But this is all neither here nor there. Gene inevitably got Robbie, and immediately he was just infatuated. He was obsessed. RTD was a life size of a young boy, so like 3 feet tall, 4 feet tall, straw doll made out of cloth. And one thing that we're not going to do is insult his looks.
No.
So before I begin, let's just say he was a total slay.
He was a slay, fresh as fuck boy.
He was always in the fittest outfits and like,
yeah,
just like so cute.
He's just so fetch.
Genie. I'm going to say that now because it's got an E at the end. Gene loved his doll, and he took it everywhere with him, even named it Robert after himself, because that was his middle name. He was giving Robbie his own clothes to wear, which is actually that little sailor outfit that you will see him in pictures today if you are brave enough to go and Google him. That little sailor looking outfit, I don't think it's necessarily a sailor outfit, but it looks like one.
Yeah.
That was Gene's.
Oh,
so it's like
that's
pretty
cute.
Yeah,
though. That's
but like
so
he
cute.
was like dressing him himself and like giving him his own clothes. This doll was his bestie, and it made him so happy. So no one really batted an eye towards his relationship with Robbie. His parents would hear him talking and whispering to the doll, and truly they were like, "Oh, that's so cute. He's got a little imaginary friend. Like he's really confiding into this doll. He's got someone to talk to, someone to hang out with. We're gone all the time, so
thank God he's
got this doll."
I have a question before you go on. Did you have one of those life-size dolls?
No.
Ever?
No.
I did.
Is your mother a lunatic?
My grandma got it for me.
Is your grandmother
She took me to Toys R Us, and I was like, I want this bitch. She's coming home with me. She was like 3 foot tall.
Was it like a Raggedy Ann?
No, it was like the plastic ones. They were like life-size Barbies, you know, but it was the first one that I'd ever, like, the reason why I got it, this is so crazy I can remember this, because I was little, like I was young. My grandma took me down after church. We went down to Chattanooga. We ate at the Olive Garden, and then we walked over to Toys R Us, me, my grandpa, and my Nana. She let me pick a toy out because I was good in church.
I want that one. That one's my friend.
And yeah, so I was like, let me go to the fucking doll section. Pull me up. All right. So I go over to the doll section, and all of them, you remember this, were all blonde. They were all the blonde dolls. And they, for the first time ever, had one of those life-size 3 foot dolls that had brown. It was like red, amber color, like literally the color of my hair now. I was like, she's coming home with me immediately. I carried over
So
that
how long
box.
did you have her?
Oh my, like for the longest. I kept her forever. Her name was Susie. She slept in the bed with me. My dad, that's the main reason why my dad stopped sleeping in my mom's bed, was because I would go sleep in the middle of the night, walk my ass down there, me and Susie, and tuck Susie in with her sharp plastic
Taylor,
arms.
that is like a recipe for absolute disaster.
I painted her nails. Anytime I painted my nails, she got her nails painted. That bitch, I didn't have a sister. I didn't have any siblings. I was like, this is my girl, Susie.
Someone must say.
And her name was Susie. That's crazy.
That really, I've never heard that before.
I don't think I've ever talked about Susie. Like, I don't think I've talked about Susie in like 10 years.
Yeah. So, okay, so Jean is now talking to Robbie, and the parents are like, oh, so cute. Like, probably how your parents viewed it. Until they started picking up on when Jean would reference him in first person. And it kind of became a little bit more of this relationship with their son and this doll. As this doll is no longer a doll, our son is really truly viewing this as a living entity.
Right.
To Jean, it was Robert, my alive best
not a
friend,
doll. Yeah.
Not a doll. So the parents started paying a little bit more attention to what was going on here, and they were kind of getting a little freaked out, but at the same time, child things, imaginary friends. So there was one point where Jean was talking to Robert, and the parents swore that they heard a voice talk back, but also thought there's no way that just happened, so we're gonna act like that didn't just happen. Like, maybe that was our son like mimicking. Things changed though when they were awoken by their 10-year-old son screaming this blood-curdling scream in the middle of the night. So they rush over to Jean's bedroom, and they find him sitting up in his bed, and at the end of his bed was his doll, Robbie, staring right back at him. And the room was a disaster. Furniture was overturned, pieces that a 10-year-old boy could not have overturned. Like big, you know how heavy real furniture is. This 1900s. Ain't Wayfair, Amazon shit, Home Depot. This is 1900s real woodwork.
Made out of fucking oak tree.
Absolutely just thrown around his bedroom. And when Jean's parents start grilling, what's going on? Like what happened? What's wrong? Like, you know, Robbie was just kind of sitting there at the end of the bed, glaring at Jean. And Jean goes, Robbie did it. Robbie did it. And the parents are like, no, Jean, really, what happened? Like, is someone in the house? And he's like, Robbie did it. And Robbie's just sitting at the end of the bed like this.
Like a doll.
Staring at Jean, straight up. Fuck that.
No, dude, I would have fucking lost my shit right then and there.
Yeah, so he's blaming it on the doll that he didn't do that to his room, but his parents didn't believe him. Jean was spending all of this time with Robbie, and servants in the family were hearing Jean have conversations with himself in two totally different voices in his bedroom. So now they're really like, okay, this is a very unhealthy relationship with an inanimate object where our son is now mimicking the second voice. But either way, we have never heard our son speak in that tone of a voice.
Right, like this doesn't even sound like him.
But this was just the start of Robbie. As Jean grew up, Robbie became more violent, more malicious. He was mutilating toys and leaving them around the house. Very expensive toys of Jean's, and some of Jean's favorites. How I take it as is jealousy.
Jealousy, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
You know, I've always worried that my teddy bear that I slept with every night since I was 3 years old is going to get jealous of something, and I'm like, he's going to fucking murder all these other fucking
He's
animals.
gonna destroy our bikes.
Yeah, literally, he's going to come over here and he's going to
Don't spend enough time with him.
Dude, when I was little, I had to make sure that, like, I would give all my stuffed animals love, but at the end of the day, I'd be like, Bobo, you know you're my guy.
Wait, side note, tangent here. I saw this video, and it was like, when you prayed as a kid, and you were like, dear Heavenly Father, please protect my mom and my dad and my sister and my brother and my grandma and my aunt and my uncle, and don't hurt anyone else, because I swear I didn't mean to not say their names, and also everyone in the school and everyone in my neighborhood street and everyone in my town. Please protect everyone.
Fuck that. That's how I still pray. Are you kidding me? I'll be so worried.
Like, when I didn't say that, he doesn't think I care.
And the funniest part about it is that we all collectively are like, God, please don't hurt them. Like God's gonna go out there and like smite them immediately because we didn't say that. Like, God's gonna go and like strike them down right then and there because we didn't say that.
I remember being as a kid, be like, please let me have a good day. And my mom and my dad and Marshall, Mitchell, Marley, and my aunt Jackie and my cousin Victoria and everyone. I want them all to have a good day.
Double time, God.
Oh shit. That's fine.
Godspeed.
Okay, so anyway, he's now mutilating these like really some of Jean's favorite toys, and when the parents would ask Jean why he did that, like those were literally handcrafted in Paris, France. Like, come on, Jean,
these are Prada.
Why is that toy, your favorite toy, now destroyed?
Right.
And he would just sob and be like, Robbie did it. And nobody would believe him.
I wouldn't either.
Until they started hearing giggling sounds.
Oh.
They were hearing this all over the house, running throughout the house, as well as flashes of this little boy that looked a lot like Robbie running up the stairs. Neighbors reported seeing a doll walk from window to window, and then it would sit at the window and it would stare and watch everyone as they crossed the street. Fucked up.
Wait, who saw this?
Neighbors
were
through the windows. So
they,
this is like their house is this old, I want to say purple or pink, Victorian style, like triple tier.
That's my shit.
Gorgeous.
So
some of the windows are like circles, and like, and there's
Robbie. They're fucking dollhouses.
They're dollhouses.
And they're huge windows. I mean, I have a folk Victorian, which is like the farmhouse version of that. And my windows for an 1800s house are ginormous.
Yeah, huge.
Ginormous.
Huge.
They're huge. They're huge.
Okay. That one time there was this plumber that was hired on to make some repairs around the house. And he claims that he also heard a child's laugh, even though this time nobody was in the home. So there was no Jean, there was no other children. This is just the plumber and some kids laughing, a kid laughing.
That.
And he swears that before he went into the bathroom, whatever he was working on, to his left, he noticed this doll sitting in the window. He noticed Robbie, and he was like, oh, wow, like that's a really interesting looking doll.
Yeah.
It's
so beautiful.
It just caught his eye. Yeah. He's so beautiful.
Gorgeous.
And he goes and he does his work, and he comes back. That doll is flipped to the other side of the window. Like, so he was on the right side of the windowsill, and now he's flipped to the left side of the windowsill. And he also, I guess Jean would give him these like other little stuffed animals for him. And the most notorious one is the stuffed dog, which I'll talk about later. But the plumber said that these dolls, or these stuffed animals that the doll had, were now thrown across the room, and the doll was by himself, like on the other side of the window. So at first he had animals with him, and then when the plumber saw him again after the laughing incident, the stuffed animals were thrown,
yeeted,
and little Robbie was by himself.
Wow, he must have looked so cute looking through that window. He just wanted the full frame to himself.
Yeah,
because he's so cute and gorgeous.
So clearly, though, the family and the staff are starting to pick up that this doll is haunted as fuck.
Yeah.
And it kind of continued on, like I said, progressively getting worse as Jean was growing up. Almost as if he was acting out and mad that Jean didn't stay a child forever. That was his BFF.
Whoa.
He especially got mad when Jean really grew up and moved out of the house. Jean moves to Chicago to study at the Academy of Fine Arts. And then from Chicago, he goes to New York and he studies at the Art Students League. And then finally, he goes to Sorbonne. This is a French word. I don't know it. Sorbonne University, which is a public research university located in the heart of Paris, France. So Jean is an adult now, and he is just like his mama and daddy. Mm-hmm. He's a world fucking traveler.
Yeah, he's out.
He's out, and he is about.
Yeah.
And he was living his life, while Lil Robbie was stuffed away back in Jean's childhood bedroom and eventually moved into the attic by Robbie's parents.
This is the story, Toy Story. Literally, this is like the
Andy
flip version of that.
Andy just leave me?
Yeah,
this is a little like Toy Story.
This is like the upside down of Walt Disney's Toy Story. Of Walt Disney's Toy Story.
Edit that.
fuck? I can't talk today. I cannot.
Walt Disney's
I'm just going to shut the hell up. All right.
Okay. So now Robbie is in the attic and people on the street are now little circle. Just imagine, guys. Top of the house, little circle window, and Robbie is just staring out. And what the neighbors don't know and the passerbys don't know is that he's sitting on a fucking rocking chair.
Who did that?
Who did that?
Who did that? Whose idea was that? Whose horse is that?
Who said, put the doll in the rocking chair? Thank you.
Like, were they just like, every time we come up here, he's out of the box looking, hanging off the window. So let's just prop him up. And then they were like, the only thing we have up here is this creaky, old ass rocking chair.
So we're going to put him in that.
No, this is my question. What was going on in the early 1900s that you motherfuckers had all these rocking chairs just sitting in your attics?
No, really,
because these attics are tiny. I could not get a fucking
there's nothing ever in there but a rocking chair.
It's like a chest of drawers. It must have been
either like a escape space for like parents.
It was definitely where they were smoking weed,
or they were like sending the kids for timeout or something.
Yeah, they go sit upstairs with
get in the
Robbie
rocking chair,
and go look. It's like their timeout spot. So then they have to look out that circle window at the top at all their neighborhood kids playing.
I bet that's what that was.
We talked about that because my mom made me fucking do that in the sunroom, and I'd have to sit there and watch everyone play, and I'd be slamming against
I didn't have any neighbors, so I didn't get. I would literally. Actually, I had this one little girl. Her name was Livia. And she would always run over. And I told you this too. We would like duck and hide, and she'd be like, "Do you want to go jump on the jumpaline?" We're like, "The jumpaline."
He's so mean.
She'd be like, "My dad's mowing the grass because my dad's mowing the grass,"
and you'd be like, "All
righty, then.
Gotta go."
Yeah, she is not something else.
No, really though. How the fuck did y'all put those in your attic?
Because did you build them up there?
Morgan, think about this. This house is the exact same on the front as it was when it was built. Okay,
so they would have had to build it up there.
So you see how tiny that little attic door is.
Yeah.
No shot you could slip a whole fucking. There's not even a ladder. Like you have to go up there. Like
maybe there was like a superstition behind it. Like if you have spirits, you have to have one in there, and they'll stay in the attic and they won't bother your living space.
If someone told me that, I would literally put one up there immediately. I would go to Cracker Barrel and I'd purchase one. And I'd take it upstairs.
Yeah. We don't give Taylar's ghost a rocking chair. We give them the Downix from Amazon, and they're sitting up there just spinning around on their fucking fake computer.
No, literally, they're sitting up there like on their fucking gamer chairs, just getting
with their monitor,
with their XXL monitor.
That is hilarious. Okay.
Oh wow.
So Gene's living his life, and Robbie is not. He's now stuffed in an attic, and the neighbors are seeing him, and he's kind of moving.
Oh.
And what he does is he is just kind of like head turning, like at the kids on the street.
Oh.
Head fucking turning, staring them down.
And trust me, that rocking chair was not a swivel chair.
It wasn't.
They didn't have swivel chairs.
And dolls can't turn their head.
No.
While in Paris, Gene meets his future wife, Anne. And the two were this perfect match made in heaven. But before they were married, Gene had received the devastating news of the passing of his parents. Death unsure of.
Oh, God.
And with that came the inheritance of the Key West family mansion.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
Victorian mansion. So Gene kind of had to put his future artist life on hold for just a bit, moved back to Key West to take care of things. Once back at home, it was like Gene was missing something. Again, guys, this is a grown adult. And that something was Robbie.
Fuck.
So he went up to the attic one day, he pulled him out, and he placed him back into his childhood bedroom where the two of them grew up, which was no longer his bedroom, but more of his art studio now, where they spent a lot of time painting. Mm-hmm. But it's as if he knew that this was Robbie's room and that he needed to be there. So he goes back up to the attic and he pulls him out and he places him back into his childhood bedroom, which is no longer his bedroom, but his art studio. And they now call this Gene's turret room. Turret, I believe that's how you say it. Eventually, Anne comes to Key West and the two of them get married. And she moves into the artist's house. Cool. And she was immediately thrown off because this is not the guy that she knew and loved in Paris. Oh. She was extremely weirded out by the situation and the relationship that this grown man had with his doll, Robbie. This bond that her husband had with his childhood toy was really freaking her the fuck out.
Yeah.
So she insisted on the fact that he needed to be moved back up to the attic because there was no reason that her husband needed to have this doll around 24/7. He was a creative. He was an artist. He's in his room painting every day, and that doll is with him, and he doesn't want to do anything without the doll. He goes down the kitchen, the doll goes too. And Anne was like, that's enough. I'm just like, I think he should probably go back in the attic. And then at this point, she's kind of beginning to pick up on the fact that Robbie was also a little weird himself, a little odd himself. And she felt really uneasy with him around, and she couldn't really put a finger on why, but she knew that there was something like energy wise off going on between the two of them, but specifically the doll.
Yeah.
When he was moved back up into the attic, Jean went the full 9 yards, creating a space that Robbie would be comfortable in. I'm talking completely furnishing the attic as if it was a bedroom, buying toys for him.
Why are you whispering?
Am I whispering?
Yeah.
I'm trying to be anticlimactic.
I'm like, I'm over here thinking like, maybe my hearing's off. I don't know. My ear popping. I was like, why are we being quiet?
I just thought I was doing my
You were. But I mean, I was in my head, I was thinking like, I wish I could turn her up a little bit.
I'm like, please don't hear me all the way in Key West. That's why I'm whispering.
Okay.
I don't want anyone to hear me.
I'll back that up and let you have your climactic. Just turn up your volume just a little. I can't even fucking hear you.
That's hilarious. Keep it in. Just turn up the volume.
Yeah, just turn up. Let me turn up that volume a little bit.
Okay. So
what does he put in this room for this?
A bed, a dresser, the rocking chair. Bro, it's like a full bedroom set is now in this little attic. He created this entire space for this doll, a grown man. And he would constantly be making trips up the stairs to see Robbie, which Anne was absolutely not fond of, not okay with.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, Robbie was not fond of this arrangement either, because now he's back in fucking timeout. And Anne's got to go. He is believed to have repeatedly snuck out of the attic and placed himself back in a chair in that childhood bedroom room, the turret room, with Jean facing outside in the window. Again, he's obsessed with the window, obsessed with chairs, obsessed with that bedroom. And the word of him on the street, specifically through the neighboring kids, like really started to spread, because I also think like this is a time where kids are like ghosts.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and like creepy houses. And like,
now
let's
it's
break
like
into abandoned places.
all of the kids that Jean probably played with.
Yeah.
That
so they
own
all
their
know.
parents' house, and they're like, that motherfucking kid with his fucking creepy
And
shit.
his face following our movements, walking
Yeah.
through the street. So the word's spreading, and they're all talking about how he will just like disappear and reappear, facing an entire different direction. The neighbors kind of started avoiding walking in front of that house. Like it got to that point where they were had this eerie feeling. They were like, you know what, we're not walking in front of that house anymore.
Right.
Well, a couple of kids ran up to Jean and they told him like, what is that thing doing up there? Why is it in your bedroom window?
It's you.
And when Jean heard this was happening, he's like,
What? Jean.
bedroom window?
Don't ever bring this up to Anne.
What are you talking about? He's not up there. And he was apparently really confused, because when Robbie would sneak out of the attic, he wouldn't do it without anyone seeing him. But I feel like Jean knew he was out. And
Jean.
that was he was an artist. He was in there you know how artists are. They live in their space and they're constantly, look at fucking Taylar. She don't leave this room. Like they live there day in, day out. So for this doll to be down there midday and you're telling me he's not down there, I don't know.
And if
I
that's
don't
like
believe
his
that, but-
muse for his art too, like he knows where that thing is, and and especially knowing the energetic ties that he has to this doll, like he clearly knows where this where this doll is existing in the home.
And so maybe it was an instance where he knew that he did leave him in the attic, and he like ran up to check. Well, lo and behold, the attic was empty, and Robbie sure as hell was in his artist room. So he would continue. This went on and on. He would go and he'd investigate, and every single time he would go open the door and the window to the upstairs old childhood bedroom, and he'd find Robbie sitting in that rocking chair by the window. So I must stand corrected. The bedroom that he made, there must not have been a rocking chair in it. It must have just been a bed, a dresser, and like a chair. Because the rocking chair always was in that window.
Yeah.
That's where he was spotted the most.
Yeah, okay, got it.
And this went on for what felt like an eternity, a game of cat and mouse, locking him in the attic only to discover him down in that bedroom again. This continued until the day Jean Otto died in 1974. It was determined that his death was caused by Parkinson's disease, and an article in the Sun Centennial that was written 10 years after his death said that in the months leading up to it, Jean spent most of his time in the attic just talking to Robert the days leading up to his death.
Well, that's some quality time that Robert got with him.
After his death, so Jean and Anne had a good relationship that most people know. There's no reports of it stating otherwise. But after his death, Anne found out that she was written out of her husband's will.
Oh my God. What?
Yeah.
After his death? After she fucking nursed him?
And the reason behind this, apparently, according to one of Jean's sisters, was that he was really hurt when he found out that he was written out of your mom's will. And Anne's like, that's my mom's will. He was never in the first place.
Why would he be in your mom's will?
Yeah.
You mean you're in your mom's will, and because you guys are married, everything that you has goes to go to you.
That was the excuse, but a lot of people speculate that it was Robert that had convinced him to don't leave her in this house. I don't want her in this house. If you go, she better not get anything.
Because in my head, Robert's telling him, like, when you die, you realize she's going to get rid of me and she's going to get rid of this house and I'm going to have nowhere to live.
Yeah. He leaves everything to his sister, the one that told Anne about that. She was a lot older, though, so she wasn't around during the childhood Robbie phase. Anne ended up moving to Massachusetts to live with her sister, died 5 years later in January of 1979 of pancreatic cancer. Damn. Doesn't this story sound like it should be happening in like the 30s? And this is like in the 80s.
Yeah. This sounds like old. Like we started in 1900.
Yeah. Well, he was born.
He was born then.
He died 79 years old.
I guess. Yeah. But like shit.
Yeah.
God, we live a long time.
But that's like showing like even in his last years, he was still talking to this doll.
Damn.
Like it had a hold on him.
It did.
Things picked back up when a new owner moved into the house. And with her was her 10-year-old daughter, who was absolutely ecstatic to find him in the attic. And I did type that for a reason.
Oh,
so it rhymed.
God.
The new owner was a mother named Myrtle Reuter, and she would live with Robbie for the next 20 years. Even after her daughter woke up in the middle of the night and watched Robbie as he moved about her bedroom flipping over furniture. Deja fucking vu. Yeah. And when her mom's like, what's wrong? Why are you screaming? What happened to your room? He did it. And there he is, the end of the fucking bed. But Myrtle either turned an eye or just simply was so infatuated with him. Like he now had a hold over both of these women, because even when she moved homes in the 80s, the daughter no longer is really vibing because girls pick up on that shit.
Yeah.
But not mama. So she moves homes in the 80s and she takes him with her. Takes this doll with her and eventually donates it to the Fort East Martello Museum in 1994, telling them, look, I don't care if you believe me or not, but this is a very antique doll and it is 1000% haunted. Take it off my hands. And they're looking at this doll as like, we've never seen anything like it.
This
like
is gold.
We want to do the research on it. We want to find the history of it. This is gold. So they accepted it under the impression that Myrtle was probably just a little crazy lady and that her claims were just absolute nonsense. Like there's no way this doll's haunted.
Right.
But like we're going to keep him because like that's we've never seen anything like it.
Well, yeah, it was a handmade doll.
But almost immediately, the museum and their employees and visitors started having some unexplainable things happen with them and Robbie. So if you were to visit Robert at this museum in Key West, Florida, here are the rules. You must greet and introduce yourself to Robert. If you want to take a photo of him, you must ask first. You have to get permission. You cannot leave the museum without saying goodbye. And when you greet and introduce yourself, it needs to be, hi, my name is Morgan Mounts. I'm from Knoxville, Tennessee. It's very nice to meet you.
So yo won't cut it.
So yo won't cut it.
Got it.
You have to say like a full formal introduction, like where you're from, probably a little blurb about yourself, what you do. He needs the deets. So now I'm going to run through some stories of those that didn't follow those rules.
Oh, fuck.
First is the story of the honeymoon couple. So these two, they just get married. They're in love, and they go on their honeymoon to Key West and they see this museum and they're like, yeah. That's for us. Let's go. They had this disposable camera with them. They had pictures from their wedding. They had pictures all throughout the honeymoon, and now they're in the museum. And I don't know if you guys remember, but this was a thing back then. And even when I was a kid, that you take pictures of everything in the museum.
Every single thing.
I have so many disposable camera pictures of just like from every museum possible that you could think of because my mom was a huge museum girl. I took pictures of everything.
Yeah, I took pictures
no
of the
context.
bathroom signs
Yeah.
just in case. Just
Cute.
in case we needed them for the archives.
So they are snapping pictures of everything in this museum. That includes Robbie. And when they got back home to develop these photos from their wedding, their pictures from everything, the wedding, the things they took, the entire honeymoon, every picture from that museum was absolutely destroyed black.
I would have lost my shit.
They knew that this doll was haunted because the museum told them that it was. So on their 1-year anniversary, they went back to see him. This time they brought him a peppermint candy. They were alone in the room with him when they pulled out the candy to offer it to him, and they wanted to apologize. So they bring him an offering, beg for forgiveness for not following his rules. That the tour guide, anytime you go into this museum, very clearly will tell each tour group, these are the rules.
So you have to be like absolutely ignoring.
Absolutely, like not believe. I would see like a skeptic. Like I could see Aaron not doing that. Truly.
Yeah, but they would never be allowed to go in there in the first place.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like a lot of
Yeah.
people that are just like, okay,
I don't believe that
I don't
fuck
believe
shit.
that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, watch this, Morgan.
Yeah.
You know?
I didn't ask him.
Me and Taylor would be like,
Hallowed be thy name. We'd be like, just they do not know what they have done, sir.
yeah. So they go back, they offer him a peppermint candy, and they wait until there's no other tour groups or no other visitors in this part of the museum.
Bold.
And they offer this peppermint candy, and the lights go out.
Nope.
The lights in the room go out, and they believe they were like so chill with it, I guess, that this was his way of expressing thanks for the candy and the apology of the unsolicited picture that you took of me like last year. Like, I appreciate your candy, but like remember like my rules. Like, don't no paparazzi.
Yeah, don't fuck with me. Yeah.
No fucking paparazzi.
No free pics.
Another story that is tied to Robert the doll, and this is another story that is tied to Robbie, and this is my favorite.
Morgan just raw dogged it. Morgan just raw dogged the fuck out of that.
It's the first time I've said it out loud. The manager of the artist house, her name is Jessica Schreckengoss Naumann, and
fucking hell
she
yeah.
always likes to put a decorative bowl of lemons out on the reception desk. That's like her little, you're in Key West.
Yeah, girl.
Lemons and limes.
Limes. Yep.
You know, cute little citrus fruits.
Key lime pie.
Key lime pie, put that out next time.
Key West, Florida.
And what's actually really interesting, though, is that the manager of the artist house, her maiden name, the Schreckenghost, actually means frightened of ghost. That's what that word means.
That's a sick fucking name. I love her name, though. When you said it to me, I was like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
Powerful fucking name.
Powerful fucking name. She has this bowl of lemons on the reception desk, and these lemons just start to magically disappear. Oddly enough, these guests that were checking out would return them. And she's like, what the fuck is going on here? Why is everyone taking my lemons and sending them back? If you're going to take my lemons, then fucking take the lemon.
Yeah, like steal the whole thing.
Steal the whole thing. They wouldn't say anything, but they would just like, put the lemons back. So like she would notice in the morning lemons were gone, and she would come back that day she'd watch a guest checking out drop a lemon off. So she's a little weirded out. Well, about a month after this like full week of lemons disappearing happens, there's a package that arrives. And on the package, there is no name, no note, no return address. And inside this package is one singular lemon. She's like, that's fucking weird.
Yeah.
But I can't do anything about it. Like, I
Yeah.
can't trace this. Like, that's really weird. That's really creepy. Wonder if that has anything to do with Lil Rob, right? Well, months after that, there's a letter that arrives at the museum. It is addressed to RTD.
Oh, God.
It's from a woman, and she writes that her and her husband had visited him several times, but they never have experienced anything negative before. Started out great, right? She continues to talk about how they were both really like kind of obsessed with him. So they kept coming back and looking at him, checking out the museum, and every single time they would book the artist house.
Yeah.
They like really loved the history and the story and the area, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's his OG stomping grounds.
Right. And they really liked him. So they kept coming back, but nothing previously has ever happened to them.
Right.
Well, during their last visit, they stayed at the artist house, and they stayed in the turret suite, which is the old childhood bedroom where Robbie lived for many, many, many years.
Flipped his shit.
While in there, apparently, I'm not sure if this is like right directly outside of the hallway, I would assume, or if the turret suite or the turret room is below the attic, like directly below. And
I
the
think it's that
entrance is in there.
second room, like below the top room of the attic, because it's a column that goes down. So do you
think there would be, okay, wait. So I don't know if the entrance to the attic is outside that bedroom door or if it's in the bedroom. Regardless, they pop the hatch because they want to see like the attic.
Yeah.
They're curious, right? And so they pop open the hatch door and they stick their camera up and they start just snapping pictures all around the attic. They're like, we really hope we catch something paranormal. Like, we know Robbie's not here, but like, we really want to catch something. Mm-hmm. The next day before checkout, they were doing some last minute shopping. The woman begins to feel pain. She starts running a fever. She starts getting a rash all over her body. And they immediately kind of just like get out of there. They go home and they go see a doctor. She goes sees a doctor and she is diagnosed with shingles.
Oh.
Her husband also started to feel pain shortly after. He goes and sees a doctor and he has kidney stones.
Oh, God.
Because of their medical emergencies, the two of them delayed their unpacking as a normal person would, at least 2-3. If that was me, a month.
Are you joking? I still have a bag packed from when we recorded season 4 video.
I do too. Any normal person that is on top of their unpacking shit, like my mother goes home and immediately unpacks.
I mean, my mom too. That's not my vibe.
I would say within a week is like a normal range for people to unpack their stuff.
Yeah, for normal people, yeah.
So they're unpacking and she feels something in her shirt. She's like, what the fuck is that? And she unrolls her shirt and it's a lemon. A fucking lemon. She had no idea how it got into her suitcase.
Ew.
Now she's kind of putting 2 and 2 together. I remember seeing those at the front desk at the artist house. We took those pictures of his timeout room. Even though he wasn't there, his rules are not to take pictures. And now we're
Without
back.
asking first.
And now we're back with a fucking random lemon from this house that we didn't take. How did it get wrapped up into one of my shirts?
Right.
Obviously, this is Robbie's doing, and he caused the sickness of me, and he caused my husband's sickness, and this is all connected. So she thought that he was punishing them again for taking those pictures in the attic without his permission. So she mails the lemon back to the artist house. No name, no letter, no return address.
Right.
So that package that the woman got, it was hers.
Thank God. Yep. I forgot we didn't know who that came from.
And once that lemon was on its way back, like had left the mail carrier, I guess, or she dropped it off, her and her husband began to recover and feel better. So this story gets back to, what was the manager's name again? Jessica Schreckengust, because one of the guests was like, hey, really cool lemons. Have you seen that letter that's posted by Robbie in the museum? The manager's like, no, what are you talking about? And they were like, there's this really, really interesting letter about a couple that stayed here. They had lemons and da-da-da-da-da. And that's how the two things got connected.
How they put the two together. Oh.
Because what this museum does when they receive letters is they paste them up near his case.
Yeah.
And there's like thousands. Another story is from someone who said that they did follow Robert's rules, but still ended badly. So this writer told Robert their name, asked them permission before taking his photo, thanked him, and later that night, their bottom lip started swelling to twice its size, and they developed a rash on both of their arms and hands that lasted for days. Immediately, you think sun poisoning.
Sun poisoning.
Probably. You're in Key West. My lips swell when I have sun poisoning. Regardless, they're like, that's really weird. I've been wearing my sunscreen. I've been covered up. I really haven't been,
Yeah.
being too crazy. So they look up Robbie on the internet and they didn't find any information. Like they're trying to figure out like, what did we break? What did we do wrong that we're now being
that we're being
attacked by this guy? And he can't find anything that suggests that the rules weren't followed. As they closed the tab, allegedly, this is their story, they noticed that there was another tab open that had no title on it. There was only one sentence on this page that said, you did not say where you were from. On their computer.
Oh my God.
I don't know if I believe that one, but it's pretty cool. It was a good one.
That one's crazy. Oh my God, we'd be saying I'm originally from Cleveland, Tennessee.
And I didn't know this until the very end. I swear to God, I didn't know this till the very end. There are a lot of people that will write about electronic malfunctions. Specifically, it was the researcher. There is one positive letter in the museum, and it's from this writer who was a woman who said that she had nothing but the best of luck after visiting Robert, and the specifics weren't really mentioned what happened, but the woman says that she really expresses her appreciation and she thanks him, and she goes on to refer to him as a demon, whose role is to teach people to ask permission. He's the permission demon.
Well,
apparently.
Okay. Well,
And she also goes on to say that he specifically is the demon in charge of good manners, and that's what he's there for. Workers of the museum say that he gets about 1 to 3 letters a day. Some people write to him asking for advice or if he could place a curse on people that wrong them.
Oh.
Letters that will worship him, letters that are praying to him. But mostly, there's a ton of letters of apologizing from people who were not following the rules and are begging for forgiveness.
yeah.
That's what ours would be. But besides the letters, he receives and is left from visitors with candy, money, and sometimes even joints.
You know what?
He needs it.
I kind of feel that from our boy Robbie.
Yeah. So who is RTD? The first theory is voodoo. Again, we are, like I said, unsure exactly what the origins of RTD are, but this relates to the servants that were employed by the Ottos. So the Otto family had employed 2 servants, and their names were William and Emmeline Abbott. The Abbotts were a married couple who worked for the Ottos for many years, starting with Jean's grandfather, Joseph. Emily Abbott had given birth to 2 children in 1900 and 1910. 1900, the same year that
Jean
was born. While there's no evidence to prove it, there's speculation that Emmeline Abbott may have had an affair with Jean's father, Thomas. And they got this from his mother, Minnie's journal. So some believe that Emmeline had hexed the doll and gave it to Minnie's son as a way of revenge towards Thomas and Minnie, or revenge towards just Minnie. And apparently Emmeline had filed, this is why we think there's bad blood, because apparently Emmeline had filed a lawsuit against the Ottos after Jean's dad had died. But this was all hush hush and no one knows what the lawsuit was about. Nothing came out of it, but she was trying to sue them.
Oh.
The Otto family. For
Damn.
something when Thomas died.
Yeah.
The guy she was allegedly having an affair for.
Wow.
So some people believe that she put a black magic voodoo hex on this doll and gave it to the boy as a revenge for the mother.
Yeah.
Which carries into theory number 2, which is that this is a child spirit. So if the affair was true, a lot of people believe that there's possibly a lost child involved. Possibly the one of Emmeline and Jean's dad, Thomas. Or a deceased conceived child with Emmeline's husband, William. Historians are almost certain that Emmeline had lost a child. Like, they're pretty positive on that. So the theory is that Emmeline used magic to trap her child spirit in this doll. And perhaps Jean's attachment to him stems from Robbie being haunted by a half sibling, and that's why they're so attached together, because it is someone that he lost that he had no idea, like, this is a sibling. Visitors that go to the museum, as well as members of the staff, has said that they have seen the apparition of what appears, this is in the museum, apparition of what appears to be a female child of mixed race around Robert the doll. She's described as about 5 years old with long brown curly hair, wearing this old-fashioned type of nightgown. And the caretaker for the artist house just has described seeing the spirit of a little girl with the same description sitting on the staircase. And Meyer said that this little girl seemed angry. So a lot of people also believe that Emmeline and Thomas did have a child, and it had died, and that's maybe why she was filing the lawsuit against Minnie. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't even know where to begin with that, because the only thing about this, with the like curses and the hexes like put on this doll specifically by these people, is like
they were wronged.
Well, they were wronged, and I also kind of feel like it's a little bit of that cop-out of, like...
They're Jamaican, so they put...
They're Jamaican,
voodoo.
They're different, and they're doing,
Yeah, well, I'm about to rule out for all of those, though. Yeah, those are the most common.
Voodoo, no, I don't think.
But but what is interesting about that is that there clearly was bad blood, and there was a lawsuit filed, and in Minnie's journals, there was an affair between her, Emmeline, and Thomas.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's wild.
So number 3 is that it's this antique demon doll. So to rule out the first 2, which both relate to hexes, we have to trace back RTD's history. So someone pulled him and did like a ton of research on where he could have came from.
Oh, yeah.
If he wasn't handmade. Because that is the story.
Yeah.
Is that he was this handmade doll. Some people say it's from the servant. Some people say it was gifted from Emmeline. Some people say that this was a gift from his grandfather.
Right.
So his physical origins actually trace back to the Steiff Company in Germany. The Steiff Company is a toy company that was established during the late late 19th century. It was started by a seamstress named Marguerite Steiff, who made these like elephant-shaped pincushions. And she noticed that children really enjoy playing with these pincushions and decided to start making them less animal-themed, more human-themed. Eventually, her hobby developed into the Steiff Company, which became this very reputable and innovative toy manufacturer. And it's credited with creating the most popular children's toy of all time, which is the plush bear of 1902, which would later become the teddy bear, named after former U.S. President Theodore Roosevelt.
Well, that's
so
cool.
They created the teddy bear.
That's crazy.
The trademark that would tell you if this was an authentic Steiff toy, and I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. It is a German word, so probably not. But the trademark that would tell you if it was authentic was this little metal button that was inserted into the doll or the stuffed animal's ear with an elephant that was engraved into it, or the company name. However, the team that was researching and evaluating Robbie noted that his right ear was originally missing. So they kind of assumed that maybe Gene had torn it off accidentally as a child during play, or it's been set 100 years now, 124 years now this doll has been around. So there's a good chance that there's some pieces missing.
And you know, at some point, like if he felt that there was a little coin in there, that he ripped that motherfucker's ear off and got in there and dug around.
So if he were to receive RTD as a gift, then this makes sense because he was most likely manufactured by the Steiff Company in Germany around 1904. And when the Otto family, where did they immigrate from? Germany. Got to the States, his grandfather, Gene's grandfather, kept in touch with a lot of their other Otto relatives. And what they did often was gift exchanging. So like he would send them American things, they would send him back German things. And people believe that this is how he got Robbie in their possession. So it could be that this was just this manufactured doll that a spirit or a demon had latched onto, or maybe Gene was like extremely energetic and like had this like crazy energy charge that connected him to this doll and like mirrored him. Do you know what I mean? And it kind of got taken away. Like, I feel like at first it was really like, it was probably a really normal situation. Like
how any kid would be.
It wasn't a spirit. And then Gene just like emanated this like energy charge into this doll because he was missing something so important in his life, which was companionship. His parents were gone constantly.
And it's like he went, what is it called when it's like something about an inanimate object? Like
there is like psychological.
There's a psychological, that term I'm talking about. But basically it's where you truly, kids do it a lot where, you know, same thing with imaginary friends or just regular toys or whatever, that they become so attached to it that in their head, this object is truly like alive and it has thoughts and feelings and emotions and empathy just like anything else. And so energy follows intention. So if your intention is like, this is the person that you're talking to every night, this is your best friend, this is your brother, energy follows intention. And he's an artist, so clearly this is someone who does know how to manipulate and use energy waves.
I was kind of thinking, this is my theory, is that maybe Gene had created this, you know, this attachment, this energy wave with RTD as he developed. His child development was like behind or something, so this emotional connection with this doll, something happened that, what if it was Gene that was like doing unknowingly like slipping into this Robert character and like moving the doll and not knowing it, so then he's all surprised whenever he's out of the attic. Or, I don't know, because people did say they heard giggling in the
I mean, that is true,
and he was moving.
But like here's also the thing too, this is Key West. Like Key West has a lot of history and a lot of energy. I mean, that's why Hemingway had his house there. And it's literally, I think, in the Bermuda Triangle. Not really, but it's no, it is. I think it's well, no, is it Miami? That's technically the point. But same fucking thing. You know, literally same thing. But like Key West is a very energetic place, and what's crazy,
place too.
It's spiritual. There's so much history. There's so many different like people that walked that path and like went through and have gone and still continue to go through Key West. And there's a lot of like dark history and pain, and then there's also like luxury. It's kind of like Savannah for like the bottom of the US. Like there's a lot of fucking energy there, and you feel it when you're walking around there. It feels charged. So, and imagine how like as a kid, your parents are always gone. Your oldest sibling is way older, already living out her life. The only people you have are people that your parents paid to be there. The only thing that you have that you feel like is yours is this doll. Like he would be putting a lot of energy into that thing to make him feel not alone.
Yeah. I think it could be a mix of like everything, honestly.
Yeah.
We're not sure what he is, but regardless, he is
Yeah.
a hot commodity in the paranormal world.
Yeah.
And he's currently the main attraction of a ghost tour in Key West, and paranormal activity is still reported at the artist house, including the apparition of a woman that appears in the garden. And there's this theory that that feminine presence is Anne Otto, and that she's there to protect people from Robbie.
Fucking love Anne.
So she's staying at the artist house, and like even in the afterlife, these two are still battling it out. But like she got the house.
Yeah, she had the fucking
and you're
house.
in the museum.
She's like, you took me out the will. That's
we're nice.
funny.
We're nice.
Yeah.
Remember, we're being
Oh
nice.
yeah, but he's so cool. Honestly, she probably just wanted to be there as like to remind people of how cool Robert is.
Okay.
Oh my
and
God.
then it's okay. I've been saying Robert too.
Okay.
Real quick, I just wanted to read. It's like the tiniest little thing on Reddit, but I have to read it real quick. Okay. So it is from the paranormal thread. It's from user Sublime Sloth, and it says, friend disrespected RTD in Key West. Cursed photo result followed. 100% real. Long story short, friend's sister went to RTD exhibit in Key West and didn't believe the curse. Apparently flicked it off and took a photo without asking permission. Started having terrible luck, photos messed up, eerie feelings of being watched, etc. This photo was taken after a conversation later on talking about how she felt Robbie was following her and had something to do with all of this big string of bad luck. Someone jokingly like took the photo and was like, well, let's see, like, Robbie, are you here? You know, like
calling him,
invoking his name to see what would happen. This is 100% real and not Photoshop. She immediately wrote a letter apologizing to the doll the next day. It's nightmare fuel. Had this photo for years and showed every time the topic of ghosts comes up. Would love if someone could find a rational or scientific explanation, but extremely paranormal. This is the OG photo. She's just sitting on the couch. They're laughing. They're chatting about it, right? So he doesn't even enhance this photo. A commenter enhances this photo.
Oh God.
Oh my God. I go all good. I can't look at it again. This was on my screen last night.
That was on your fucking screen when all that noise was going on.
Not
Robert,
the enhanced
you
version,
look so
but
good.
You are so stunning.
So cute. I love the way you posed up in that pic.
You really said slay.
Yeah, you said, wait.
You said photo where I'll be there.
You said, let me get my lips right.
Let me get the angle.
Let me get the angle.
Can you retake that?
Yeah, one more time.
Anyway, that is the story that I have for you guys today. Not as bad as PTD.
No. Well, because PTD, like,
you can't speak the name.
You can't like do anything.
Yeah.
If this really is the demon of good manners, I feel like we've had proper manners.
I feel like we've respected.
Yeah, I mean,
thank you for letting us tell your story.
Like, thank you for letting us tell your story. That's really cool. It's a cool history. Love it. 10 out of 10. Cute fit, by the way. Love it. 10 out of 10.
Love the say.
Looks great. Really
love your stepdog too. He's cute.
But you know what? I really want us to do, and I was just thinking about, since we have to book our flights this week, what if?
Oh God.
Because we have to go through Miami. What if we swung through Miami, drove over to Key West, spent a few days, but stayed in the room?
Are you insane?
Go stay in the room at the house. I feel like we're good. If the rule is that you have to be respectful, we fucking got it on lockdown.
Risking a string of bad luck a month before my wedding?
I really don't feel. I think me and Rob are cool.
I feel like we are too, but last night freaked me out a little.
Yeah, but I feel like he was just like, just so you fucking know, to get Taylar in check's mouth. All right, watch your fucking mouth. But I feel like I've been down there a million times. Like,
yeah.
What? How the fuck have I walked literally in the fucking bed and breakfast to go pee?
Yeah.
And then kept walking and had no idea that this was all here. Like, we have to go.
Yeah.
We have to do that.
We'll contemplate it.
I think we have to do that. Morgan, what are you the CEO of this week?
I'm the CEO of eggs.
What? Are you doing an egg diet again?
Listen, I've been contemplating it. I am on this Friday kick for breakfast. For breakfast. I really am the CEO of breakfast lately. I've been doing so good.
You have been.
I've been loving making my breakfast. It's like my favorite thing. But now I'm out of bacon and out of eggs because I went through them all by myself.
Yeah.
By myself. That's how much breakfast I cooked.
Yep.
A dozen eggs gone. But yeah, no, I hard boiled 6 and then I cooked 6, and I am the CEO of eggs currently, and I'm really enjoying it. And it's really bringing up the memes with the egg diet, and I could do it again.
I'm the CEO of
Shake It by Metro Station.
Shake It by Metro Station. That's literally what I'm the CEO of this week. It's been on repeat. I don't even have anything else. I'm just kind of floating through life right now.
See you. Good vibes.
Good vibes. I don't give a
Loving
fuck
life
anymore.
I'm just living life.
I'm literally the life is good shirt. Like if you want to know what vibe I am right now.
Let's get creepy. More like life is good.
Life is good. Yeah, life is good. That's where I'm at.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I love that for you.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. So.
All right, guys. I have to go to the bathroom. So
Yeah, I think that's it. Was there anything? Oh, yeah, something really big.
Oh.
Something ginormous.
Hey guys.
Yeah.
Anyone want to see us? LIVE.
LIVE. L is for the way you look at me. I is for the interesting
things you'll see.
Yep, interesting things you'll see.
V is very, very extraordinary. E is even more than anyone that you adore. And why are we so uncertain, but the lyrics are right?
Well, what's so funny is that's literally my first dance.
Anyway,
but it wasn't last.
That's right. LIVE virtual.
LIVE, just living, man. LIVIN. Ooh, that's the theme for it. Actually, no, the theme is Christmas. The theme is Creepsmas, actually. So you were going to be coming. We're not doing a good job of introducing this, but
we're going live.
We're going
Patreon
live.
only.
Yep.
Join now today. Link in the bio. Sunday, December 17th.
at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is going to be our start, which is 3:30 p.m. Pacific. I don't know if you're living in a different country. I don't know what your time zones are like, but
Merry Christmas, mother
that's
checkers.
our Christmas gift to all of the Patreons. We didn't have time to get a photo shoot done this year, so we decided that what's better, and we didn't want to deal with, now there's so many international ones, and we could not get a single Christmas card to go out internationally last year.
Yeah,
so
we didn't want to embarrass ourselves.
Yeah,
so
we're going to LIVE, babe.
LIVE.
LIVE.
Just live it, man.
Yep.
Virtual, December 17th, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Patreon.
Only.
You can subscribe. Our link is through our Instagram bio. You can find it on our website at creepsandcrimespodcast.com.
It'll be
in the
posted.
show notes. We'll put it in the show notes.
In the show note of this to get your link, but the actual post that you're gonna have, it will not be up until
6:35.
literally like right at the time that we're starting, because we might put it out at 6, but I'm gonna go ahead and let you know right now. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put it out at 6.
And if you are a Patreoner already, you do not have to do anything. This is not an upcharge. This is free service for you. But if you're not a Patreoner and you want a little Christmas lovin's, then you got to join. Sorry.
Come join. So basically what you're going to do is we're going to post about it. And then if you join the live, if you click the link prior to us actually going live at...
It still says waiting for hosts.
Yeah,
even if we are live, even if we go live after you're already in the...
Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll do a separate post with the link. As soon as we start the live, we'll post it in Patreon and y'all can come hop on right then.
We'll do like a 10-minute window of like joining.
Yeah. And then we'll start. It's going to be literally a regular live episode for you guys. Our first one ever. We're kind of shitting bricks. So.
We'll be fine.
And we're going to be good. I'm just going to reread and read and reread a million times. So I'm very excited for this. So thanks. I hope you guys come. Information's also going to be on our Instagram if you didn't stay for this long. And I'm probably going to put a little blurb in the beginning to remind you to listen to this part.
Yeah. Okay.
Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.